One of my all-time favorite tropes in a thriller book is an unhinged female main character. I'm talking the crazier, the better. So I got some book recs here of some of the most unhinged women I have ever read about. Let's get right into it. Book number 1 is The Other Mistress by Shanora Williams. This is an author that I absolutely love. Although she writes across several different genres, her thriller books are my favorite. I really do need to get into her romance books and her fantasy books. She has quite a bit of those that I have not read, but her thriller books are an auto-buy for me. So The Other Mistress follows a woman named Adira. Adira is living the life. She's a self-made multi-millionaire, and she has the perfect life, the perfect lifestyle, and the perfect husband. At least she thinks she does, because one day she finds out that her sweet husband is cheating on her with not just one mistress, but a second mistress as well. What makes this book so fun is that Adira does not care about the whole aspect of like, oh my gosh, he's cheating on me, how dare he? It's more so like these women trying to claim her man, like how dare they? So you follow the story as Adira hunts down this other mistress and teams up with her so that together the two of them can now hunt down who the third mistress is, and all of these things come into play. It is such a fun and wild book, and it has one of the greatest twists ever. Your jaw will be on the floor, but you'll also be laughing at the twist in this book. It is so good, and Adira is just incredibly unhinged. The next book I have is The Last Party by A.R. Torrey, and this book gained a bit of popularity in the last couple of months. I know so many people who read this and raved about Perla, the main character, and how unhinged she is. So of course I had to read this one myself, and hands down, she's one of the most unhinged women I've ever read about. The unique thing about Perla is that she's off her rocker. Like, she likes to pretend to be different people in different scenarios. So the beginning of this book starts out with her and her husband at a restaurant where another restaurant patron ends up choking, but she claims to be a doctor, and she saves this person and does all of that for the simple fact that she enjoys that recognition and that praise. So that will give you kind of an idea of the type of character that Perla is. Like, her husband knows that she pretends and does like these weird scenarios all the time. Like, he's fully aware and just kind of looks at her like, I don't understand why you do this. But in this book, we also follow another character, and this is a character who is currently in prison and being interviewed by some sort of journalist that wants more information on his case. But he's basically been in prison for a long time, serving a life sentence after confessing to the unaliving of 3 girls at a birthday party. Now back to little old Perla, she happens to be absolutely obsessed with this man and with him being in prison and all the things that he has admitted to doing, and she wants to replicate that. This book is absolutely wild. It is such a crazy read, and when the two timelines connect, it is just so well done. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Next up, we have Strange Sally Diamond, and Sally is unhinged in a very different way. This is another book that gained quite a bit of popularity when it first released, and it was just making its rounds through all of the thriller readers. This is such a great book and worth all of the hype. If you have not read this one yet, I highly recommend picking it up. It is just so unique and it's very well done. I have also read several other books from Liz Nugent after this one, and she just doesn't miss. She writes amazing stories, and they all have an unhinged character or two in them. So here we have Sally. She's now a grown woman, but she was adopted at the age of 7 years old, and she has just lived with those two parents her whole life, not remembering anything prior to being adopted. She doesn't remember anything from that early childhood. But Sally is very strange. She has a lot of social issues, and she misses all social cues, and she doesn't quite conversate the way that normal people do. Sally is just very different. Her adoptive mother has passed away, and her adoptive father is very sick, so she still lives with him, taking care of him. She's never quite lived on her own. The father knows that he doesn't have a lot of time left, and so one day he tells Sally, jokingly, He says, "Sally, when I'm gone and when I pass away here in this bed, just put me out with the trash. It'll be fine." So the day comes when he passes away, and Sally, poor Sally, unable to pick up on those social cues, she does indeed put him out with the trash. When the neighborhood finds out about this, they are extremely concerned, and it draws a lot of media attention to Sally, which results in lots of people and the media digging into her past and those memories that she had long since forgotten of her very early childhood years start to come to light. So she's learning about her past, and it is highly, highly disturbing. This one is just so unique and it's so good. There's not quite another story like this, and there's no other character that's quite like Sally. She is just one hell of a character, and it's impossible not to love and enjoy like the way that she is. She is just so great, and I can't say enough good things about this book. It was really freaking good. The ending, oh my gosh. Next, I have another one of my all-time favorite books, The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. Fun fact, Liv Constantine is actually two people that co-write together. Now, this book is literally jaw-dropping if you go into it blind. However, it does have some pretty serious trigger warnings, so I'm on the fence whether or not to recommend, hey, check your trigger warnings, or you should go in blind. But with that being said, keep that in mind. This book follows a woman named Amber who befriends a woman named Daphne. Amber is down on her luck. She is just tired of being a nobody. She lives her life in the background, and like I said, she's pretty fed up. Daphne, on the other hand, is this very wealthy, very beautiful woman who lives in a fancy house, married to a great guy, appears to have the perfect marriage, and she's also very compassionate. So Amber becomes friends with her, but it's not innocent. Amber becomes friends with her with an agenda because Amber has a plan to take over Daphne's life. What I love about this book is that every character has baggage, and every character is hiding some stuff, and they've all got secrets, and the way this one plays out was just really, really good. I don't feel like enough people talk about this book, maybe because it's a little bit older, but it just honestly deserves so much more hype. This is such a great book. There's also a book too. Let's see, this one is called The Last Mrs. Parrish. The second book is called The Next Mrs. Parrish. I always get the two confused because the title is so similar, but I thoroughly enjoyed and loved both of these books. Definitely recommend. Quick little side note, if you have read and loved The Last Mrs. Parrish, I have really high hopes for this book, Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. This is a newer release, and it's giving the same vibe of like a woman who thinks that she's entitled to something that belongs to another woman. And like I said, I haven't read it yet, so I can't really vouch. But this one is about a woman who receives a heart transplant, and now she feels like she is entitled to the woman who gave her the heart. She feels like she's entitled to her husband because she has his wife's heart inside of her. So I don't know, this one just sounds like it's gonna be really good. If you've read this one, I would love to know some thoughts and some reviews on this one. I haven't seen anyone talk about it yet, but I definitely want to get to this one soon. Last but not least, I have this book right here, You Will Never Be Me, and this is by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but this was a newer read for me, and I freaking loved this book. In this story, you have two best friends, Meredith and Aspen. Both of them are social media influencers, but Meredith was a very successful social media influencer first, and she taught Aspen all the tricks of the trade, and she taught her everything that she knows so that she can also be an influencer. And what happened was Aspen blew up and got way bigger than Meredith, and so Meredith was suffering from a little bit of jealousy there. So through all the jealousy, they're now like not really on speaking terms at all, yet they are still going to war with each other, and this is just such a battle of cattiness and jealousy and two absolutely unhinged women, and it is just such a good freaking story. I really loved this one. I don't want to say any more and give away like too much of the plot, but what I loved about it was how unpredictable it was for me. Like, so much of the stuff that went on in this book, I just did not see it coming, and it was just a fun ride. Like, this one was really entertaining. This one definitely also deserves a lot more hype. So there we have it, guys. These are some of my most like highly recommended books. I recommend these books all the time because I love them so much. Like each one of these like left an impression, really stuck with me afterwards. I still think about like the feelings I got while reading them, how I laughed at how unhinged some of these characters were. And these are just great reads, especially if you love thrillers and unhinged female main characters. So that's it for this video today. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.